I'm Representative Gary Click from Ohio's 88th District. I'm honored today to be joined with Artur Powlowski here on the House floor. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Pastor Powlowski was arrested and persecuted for preaching the gospel, and surprisingly in Canada. You know, we would never think that would happen in Canada. And last year we introduced right here on this floor a resolution. I believe it was House Resolution 194, if I'm correct, and that was done by Representative Reggie Stoltzfus and also by Representative Timothy Ginter, who is also a pastor, and I happen to be a pastor too. Tell us a little bit about what that meant to you, because I didn't even realize you would even know that we had done it. And but you talked to us and you told us that when you got that, it really impacted you. Can you tell me about that situation?
Yes, first of all, the worst thing that can happen to a man, to a political prisoner, is an idea that no one cares, that you're alone in your struggle, that you're forgotten, discarded, and that's it, and your life is over. So when you hear that there are other people, especially people in power, people in a position of voice, standing with you, it changes everything. Political pressure works. Politicians have power to either lift you up or destroy you. So when I've heard that there are people actually that are caring, people that not only love freedom, but love God and freedom at the same time in a right way, it lifted my spirit up. I'm telling you, when you're in prison, when you are kept in metal cages, when you're in solitary confinement for 26 hours straight, and they let you out for a short shower and a phone call, the first thing you ask is, well, where is God? Or the second question is, where are the people? Is there anyone that cares?
It's almost like John the Baptist, even when he was in prison, he said, are you the one? In the best of us, so the strongest of faith, we can still have those moments of doubt, can't we?
Well, you know, you sometimes question the wisdom of God.
Yes.
But of course, after many years of serving Him, you learn that He knows what He's doing. Mm-hmm. And He has the right people for the right job, and you were the right person for the job. And not just you, but of course, our brother here, pastor right now, if you can show it, our friend, that I was privileged to be in contact back and forth and talked and actually speak at his church, believe it or not. Even though I was on house arrest, not allowed to travel, thank God for technology. So I think the idea of others standing up in solidarity, and I think that's the key word, solidarity. We must be in solidarity with each other. Why is this important? Because the last prayer of Jesus Christ was what? Let them be one, like I am one with the Father. And I think sometimes we have forgotten the last words of Jesus Christ. So we have to keep reminding ourselves that we are in this together. It's important to stand in solidarity with each other, and when we do, well, I think we are a walking, living testimony.
Yes.
What happens when we stand together in solidarity? I'm telling you, without the political pressure, without the support from people like you, I would not be here. I would be in prison. I was told that they own the judge is bought and paid for, that the politicians already decided to lock me in prison for years, and yet our God had a different plan, because I'm telling you, when we unite, there is nothing impossible for our God.
You know, I go back to the Old Testament, and Joseph, he said, to his brothers, he said, ye indeed meant it to me for evil, but God meant it for good. They intended to break your resolve, but that didn't happen, did it?
No, here is an interesting part of the story. I think that God, and I know this will sound weird, but I think God wanted me in prison for such a time as this, so He can elevate my position to become the voice crying out in the wilderness.
Yes.
Since my ordeal and arrests and craziness and trials, I was literally able to preach to hundreds of millions of people around the world. I think I've done over 1,000 shows, and I preached to countless souls. I think that's the story of Artur Powlowski. The story is that I've made you a voice because of the persecution and prosecution, and God says, what enemy meant for evil, He's He's using it for good.
And the Lord enlarged your coasts, didn't He?
Yeah.
It's not always the easy way. It's
No.
not the way that we ask for, but His way is always the best. And Representative Ginter, Stoltzfus, and I did not do it alone. It was this body that voted on that resolution. And I'll be honest, I had little idea of what an impact that would have when we did that. But today, Reggie Stoltzfus, our representative, acknowledged you here in your presence in the Ohio Statehouse and told your story, reminded them about the resolution. And it was amazing to see you actually received a standing ovation right here by the representatives of the Ohio House of Representatives here in the state of Ohio. How did that touch your heart?
I was ready to start crying. I mean, you've got no idea when you're hunted down, when you're persecuted, when you're vilified by politicians, when you're
Yes.
vilified by mainstream propaganda, to have people standing up and clapping in a place like this, I was ready to start crying, and I was holding back. You know, it was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment, and it reminds me again that no matter what, God has our back. If God is for us,
Who can be
who
against
can be
us?
against us? I think that's the story. In the end of the day, God turns everything around and uses
He does.
the evil
Yes.
for our blessing. I know that sounds crazy, but
It's a paradox, but it's true.
He uses the evil to bless us. In the end of the day, we win,
Yes.
and the evil loses.
And so when we look at this, as we wrap up here, sometimes we feel like we got a victory, but we're really not at the end yet, are we?
No.
It's not time to quit. It's not time to celebrate and say, hey, we won. There's still fights to be fought
Yeah.
daily. Is that true?
I think the only book that has no ending is the book of Acts. I
Yes.
think that God wants us to continue writing another chapter. We have the saying in our church, winners never quit, quitters never win.
Right.
We must go all the way. You see, Jesus didn't just say, I love you, and sat under a tree waiting for the people to come to Him. He was hanged on a tree
Yes.
for you and me. He went all the way.
Yes.
And we must go all the way. And it's easier when you know that we have already won.
Yes.
And the enemy just doesn't know it yet.
Someone said one time, I've read the back of the book, and we
Yeah,
win.
that's right.
And I love that. Well, Pastor Powlowski,
Thank you so much,
for
sir.
your courageous example. Thank you for standing strong. I know many would not have stood as strong, but sometimes we don't even know until we're in the battle. But you're an example for pastors like myself, Pastor Ginter, and others. And I thank you for that courageous stand. I thank you for that testimony. And I want you to know that I pray for you faithfully. I respect you, and I'm looking forward to God doing even greater things than He's already done in your ministry. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.